So let's welcome Nadine.
Hello, my name is Nadine Sheridan, and this is my presentation, The Unusual Way of Understanding. So, the article that I chose to use was Art is a Different Kind of Cosmic Order by Brian Greene. And of course, we've all read this, but in my summary, I would say he kind of talks about how, even though he's a physicist, there's a lot of evolutionary biology, and not much of that really correlates to a reason why art exists. Yet, we still feel this kind of human urge to do it, and the main point of art is to find truths and our understanding of our human experiences. And so the artist I chose to do was Louise Bourgeois, and she was in many different movements, including ones listed there. But one of the things that I liked about her most was the different amount of mediums that she used. She used sculptures, she used paintings, she did drawings, she did basically everything. And so the first artwork that I chose to analyze was Spider, and this was in 1997. And if you notice, the spider is very dark and the metal is very cold, and that kind of shows a very cold, enveloped feeling. And this piece is actually all about motherhood. She was very heavily influenced by her mother, especially since her mother was a tapestry worker, hence why the tapestries, hence why the spider. But it kind of showed her cold lovingness. But then another thing that I noticed was the stillness of this piece, and that's because she didn't really know what to do once her mother had died. She really loved her mother. She was the only sort of caring point of her, and also the only person who protected her from the outside world. And so it's just left there after she died. And one of the most interesting things about this piece is that you're not actually meant to see it from the outside, but you're meant to view it from the inside, enhancing that kind of caged in sort of feeling of embraced lovingness, but also in a kind of cold way. And so the second piece that I have is the Welcoming Hands, and it's kind of hard to see the sculptures now, but I just want you to notice how far apart these are. They're distanced quite far away, and so these are the actual pictures of the hands on the sculptures. And here she used the medium of using casts. She actually made these casts with her assistant, and I think the most interesting one is this of the hand over here. And this is in reference to her fear of abandonment, because her father would often have affairs with other women, so she would constantly be seeing, loving embraces all around her, but she would never really feel loved by her father herself. And another thing that I think is interesting about her using casts is it kind of shows a fear of everlasting preservation. So these hands will always be together, whether for better or for worse. And this hand will always be alone. There'll always be that sense of loneliness. And so the last piece that I decided to do was Contemporanea. And this is in reference to her having to move away from Paris and go to the US to support her art career. And so here she uses long elongated forms that kind of symbolize humans, and then they each have eyes inside of them. And this piece is meant to be viewed from all different angles, and I think the most important part of this is the line of sight. If you look at all the people around, they're all just looking directly at the person in the middle, while the person in the middle is looking towards the future, kind of in front, towards where they're going, but the people around them can only see that this person will one day leave, while this person's more worried about the future, the goodness that it'll bring, the hardships that it'll bring, which are represented by the black bags and the white bags. So in conclusion, the artist really uses different, where you're standing, whether it be in front of it, like a painting, whether you're under it, like in her case, a spider, whether you're inside of it, in case of many of her Cels paintings, or whether you have to view it from all around. Art is essentially a medium where it's not something that you hear normally, well, in this case, or just speaking in words. It's a different form of communication, something that appeals to the very human urge. And so I think this quote kind of sums up her. It says, "I need to make things. The physical interaction with the medium has a curative effect. I need the physical acting out. I need to have these objects exist in relation to my body." And this is very relevant to what John Green said in the article about humans kind of feeling an urge to create art, even though there might not be any evolutionary aspect that might benefit the individual there are still many things that art appeals to us, and it's still something that we need in our life. Yeah.
Bravo.
That was exactly 5 minutes.
That was
Really?
Yes.
I went
To the
over most
second.
of my practice.
Very nice job. Okay, audience, questions, compliments, comments.
one of the best presentations I've seen in 17 years. Bravo.
Thank you. Yeah, Kaylee.
What brought you to choose her?
What brought me to choose her? It was when I was researching, because like I knew that I kind of wanted to do the John Green article because he's a physicist and like I want to be a scientist. So I was like, I want to show that like science matters in art. And so when I was researching like artists, I actually saw this quote and I was like, this really appeals to me. So even though I don't have it in my essay, I really wanted to include it in my presentation because it's the reason that I chose her. Yeah.
I'm really interested in the backstory she has for all
Yeah,
this.
she has a lot of backstory. Like I touched on like the tiniest surface, the tip of the iceberg.
I guess we don't have time for all of it.
Yeah. Yes.
You mentioned that she moved to America. Did she start making a different art when she came to America, or did she stick with this sort of like interactive?
I don't actually know. She had a really long art career. Like she died in like 2010, and she was making like art still like in like 2005. Like she was still making art, and it seemed like a lot of it like always enveloped like themes of like, I know like the article that I read kind of said like before she was like in her early days she was kind of making more art about like her angst towards like her father and like how he would always have affairs, but then towards the end she would make more art related to her mother because I think she wanted to like sort of embrace like the lovingness that she got from her mother, I guess.
So there's so much more we could say, and there's so many questions we could ask. I think that you gave everybody a really powerful gateway into her work. And that one thing, if I could just pick one thing that I really appreciated about your analysis, is the way that you talked about the viewer's relationship physically, right, to the artwork and how we should see it from different angles. And I thought that was really an engaging part of your discussion.
Yeah. That was like a nice fact that like I was like, you're supposed to be inside of the artwork.
Mhm.
I was like, I never would have thought about that.
And you also just communicated an honest enthusiasm about this discussion too, and this artwork. So thank you so much, Nate. Let's give you a round of applause.